was the statement that we're familiar with from our Declaration of Independence, that all men are created equal, and that there were no special exemptions or privileges. And the other area that went with that was that they would be cautious and hesitant in the use of force. Now, you compare that to political law, which is just a bunch of legislation. When man thinks we can create those principles, that we're not seeking a higher authority to determine what our laws should be reflecting, but when we as mankind think that we can establish a determination of right and wrong and then apply it through regulation. But what that type of law does is that it actually, the decisions are whatever the power holders decide. That no longer do you have the restrictions on government, but it actually gives power seekers more power. It destroys liberty and security, and it has been the cause of destroying every previous civilization. Because there are three things that will kill an economy or a society, and that's an encroachment of individuals or government on our persons and property, which is exactly what we see happening in our country today. The overtaxation, overregulation, and a welfare state are three things that will completely destroy your economy. That our free market system has been the source of America's legendary abundance. And with free trade, it means that you and I are free to determine what we want to trade, and we figure out that price, and each of us are deciding that that is a value. There is something, we're trading off something that is worth the value we're receiving from it. But what happens in a government-controlled economy is that force is involved in millions of transactions every day, and that people are continually forced to give up things they value more than what they get, which is exactly what we have been seeing with Obamacare, which is why there has been such a tremendous outcry from the general public. It has never been popular legislation, and certainly within the Republican Party, that they were willing to go to extremes in trying to negotiate and undo this legislation. Because if this becomes the law of our land, we have lost our free market economy. And we are completely in a government-controlled economy. And every transaction, every individual that is forced to buy that, then it has been, again, by an increase of force on an individual's choice to choose what they want to buy. You know, if young people felt it was of value to them, they will buy it. If healthy people think it is of value to them, they will buy health insurance. And because they do not see that value, our government has now decided to forcefully impose it. And this is a fight worth fighting to stop this from being implemented, because, as I say, this will usher in, we're already there in a lot of areas, but it will usher in a complete opening for government-controlled economy, that if they can force us to buy this product and label it as a tax, then there is no more free market economy. And they can force us for the greater good, because they feel they know better for us individually what decisions we should be making, that then they can impose that upon us. Part of that entire system is going back to the all men are created equal. And we think of that today more like in gender or race. We apply it to those, which it does apply to that. But our founding fathers, when they wrote that in there, they were talking about the difference between an aristocracy, that special exemptions and privileges, that unless you had a certain birthright and were born into it, that you couldn't set the rules, and that they would set rules that applied differently to them than to other people. And that is what we have today. Instead of a birthright, aristocracy, we've created an elected aristocracy that goes there, stays there forever, and begins to write laws separate for us than for themselves.